We are playing the orchestra here. These are all like individual musicians, and any one musician failing will make the result fail. That's why this is a hard thing to build. That's why this is not something where, oh, because you're a startup, you're going to lose. Because even for a big company, playing the orchestra is hard. But the user doesn't care where it goes wrong in any of these. For the user, they read an answer and they're like, oh, this is good. Or like, this is not good. Right? Yeah, the best strategy for startups is to focus on very few things, like literally even one thing, because there's not much time. I'm Aravin Srinivas. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Perplexity AI. Perplexity is a conversational answer engine that aims to deliver answers to you to whatever questions you may ask. We are trying to revolutionize how people consume information online. Instead of getting pinned blue links, we can just ask questions in natural language and just get it answered instantly. And we launched the product on December 7th, 2022. We have like about 10 million monthly active users at this point. It's basically grown 1000x over a period of 1 year. So I grew up in India, studied in one of the IITs there, and I was really into algorithms, programming ever since the beginning. A friend of mine told me about a machine learning contest, which I didn't even know what machine learning was. What all they told me was, hey, there's this data set and you can figure out a way to predict the output given the input. And it was fun. And I won the contest. And I didn't spend a lot of time on it, and it came more naturally. So I decided to go deeper into it. I went and did my PhD in Berkeley on AI and deep learning. I worked at OpenAI in 2018 summer as a research intern. I thought I was good. Okay, I did really well in India. I came to Berkeley. I'm like definitely one of the top AI PhD students. And then I went to OpenAI and I felt like really bad because people were so much better than me. It was a big reality check that, okay, I could improve a lot more in programming. I could improve a lot more in first principles thinking, my clarity of thoughts. After an internship at OpenAI in 2018, that was when GPT-1 was published. We realized that there is this new form of learning using all the internet data and learning from it. And I figured that was going to be more important. So I told my advisor that this is the right thing to do. We should go work on this. And he was actually pretty open-minded and said, okay, you know what, I'm not a specialist here, but let's try. I mean, if this is the next thing, the best way to learn a new topic is to force yourself to teach it to others. So we spent a lot of time, holidays, weekends, just learning and coding and just understanding all these things. And we did this for 2 years. All that helped me find a new research topic, which is how to combine generative AI and RL together, which is what results in these amazing technologies like ChatGPT. ChatGPT is not just predicting the next word on the internet. It's doing that and then making sure that you know how to communicate with humans. I'd always been interested in entrepreneurship because I've been in the Bay Area. I watched this TV show, Silicon Valley, which is pretty real, but never really found an example of an academic turned entrepreneur that I really resonated with. It was all undergrad dropouts. At one point, I was in the library in the late nights reading books, and then I stumbled upon this book, wrote the story of Larry and Sergey. In the book, How Google Works by Eric Schmidt, Larry had written the foreword in it. I had only 2 career pathways for myself. It was either to be a professor or an entrepreneur. And the reason is that no other career pathway would let me execute on my own vision. I would have to be working on someone else's vision. I wouldn't be able to bring out the ideas I have in my head into reality. The other thing he said is it's not sufficient to have good ideas. Nikola Tesla had amazing ideas. It's not sufficient to just have good technology. It's really important that you take good ideas, good technology, and build successful businesses or companies out of it. So these two really appeal to me.
Artificial intelligence would be the ultimate version of Google. So if we had the ultimate search engine, it would understand everything on the web. It would understand, exactly what you wanted, and it would give you the right thing. That's obviously artificial intelligence. It would be able to answer any question, basically, because almost everything is on the web, right?
Perplexity is the world's first conversational answer engine. What does that mean? Earlier, we were used to entering something like keywords or a bunch of phrases, and Google gives you 10 blue links, and you open each of them and start reading. Perplexity is trying to build a future where you don't have to do this. You can just come and ask a question just like how you would ask a friend. And that AI replies to you with the answer, but not just the answer. Every sentence that it says also has corresponding reference, or we call it a citation. This is all coming from our academic background. Like my co-founder Dennis and I are PhDs. We figured that we would use this principle that everything in a paper that you write in academia, you have to back it up with reference from some other paper. And that's how Perplexity works. It's almost like how a journalist essay is written or research paper is written. Often you're curious about something, but you don't exactly know what you want even. So So how can AI help you if you don't know what you want? People are not expert prompt engineers. They're never going to be. It's a very unnatural way to communicate. The best way for the AI to help you is the AI should help you figure out first what you want. And then given that has been figured out, it has to come and do the job of surfacing information from the internet and get it back to you. The part of taking your query, pulling links from the web, taking the relevant parts of them and giving back to you an answer, the summary and references, that's like already being done by the default. There's one more part where people are unclear exactly how to even formulate what they want. So then they're not going to be able to benefit from the second part as much. We believe it's our job. This is again inspired by something Larry Page said. The user is never wrong. Don't blame the user for not having a good prompt. Blame the AI for not being able to expand or help them expand themselves to a good prompt. That's why we built this thing called Copilot on our site, where as you ask a question, Copilot will expand your question. It'll ask clarifying questions and your prompt is basically getting expanded interactively. This is similar to talking to a friend like, hey, you know what? I'm figuring out which school to go to. I was like, oh, okay, cool. What are you actually interested in? Are you interested in like English majors? Are you interested in computer science? And then they, I think I might be interested in both English and computer science. Okay, yeah, you know what? Yale might be a good option for you. Like that's how you talk to a friend, right? And we want that experience to come to a search engine too. That human intelligence needed to do that is being done by an AI now. And we think this is the future of how people are going to interact with information on the internet. And this is also a fair way to give credit to the people whose content we are using. So we launched around December 7th and we had a high. Obviously, we were feeling really good. People were continuing to use the product. One of our investors, Nat Friedman, says this, a sign of a successful launch is there's an initial wow, there's a lot of queries, and then there's obviously going to be a dip, but it should spike, a dip, and it should sustain. If it fully decays, then you never had a product. So we watched over the winter whether people were still using it and they were using it. And then we realized, okay, this is really worth committing yourself to because there's a real usage. But then we kept improving the product. Like, okay, we started off with a single query, then we made it conversational. We realized people didn't know how to ask the follow-up question. So we would suggest the follow-up question. And we thought always from the perspective of like, the user is never wrong. Okay, try to think on behalf of the user, right? And then like, we even had like, links in the answer where you could click on it and that would pop up the next follow-up question. So all these sort of things, every single week we were shipping something and Copilot happened too. So that helped us to get a loyal set of users. We're like, okay, this product is improving so fast. I need to be part of it. You know what people love? People love being part of journeys. Especially like, why should people use another product that's being maintained by like, single digit number of people at that time when the alternative is like, one that $1 trillion company provides, which is a lot more reliable, secure, and stuff. Because they love being part of a new journey. Okay, this is new, this is exciting, this is constantly improving. They feel like they can influence it in a good way. And so we got a good user community and that helped us, a lot of feedback from the users helped us to continue to ship a lot. And it's grown exponentially since then and it's continuing to grow. And my hope is maybe we can talk 1 year from now and I'm going to come and tell you that it's grown 10x next year too, right? That's the idea. We are playing the orchestra here. These are all individual musicians and any one musician failing will make the result fail. That's why this is a hard thing to build. That's why this is not something where, because you're a startup, you're going to lose. Because even for a big company, playing the orchestra is hard. Of course, if you have more money, you can hire better musicians and you play a better orchestra over time, but that's still the part of orchestrating. But the user doesn't care where it goes wrong in any of these. For the user, they read an answer and they're like, oh, this is good. Or this is not good, right? So that's why this particular product is super hard to build. And that's why we are so focused on improving every aspect of this. Yeah, the best strategy for startups is to focus on very few things, literally even one thing, because there's not much time. As a startup, you're supposed to move fast. And as a startup, you have very few shots at failure. You're also supposed to ship high quality things so that the user trusts you. So physically impossible for you to do many things. We're still a small team, around 30 people. When you have fewer people, you can only do fewer things. So therefore, you spend a lot of time thinking about what to do. And once you've decided, you just do it. There is a quote I really like from the Airbnb founder that you have to earn the right to ship a new feature from your user. So the user wants already a bunch of things. Your job is to actually go and do that for them. And once they're happy, you're like, hey, give me new features, man. You're doing pretty well. That's when you got to go and ship new features. We have this mentality in the company that don't immediately say yes to every single obvious idea that you can do. try to really think about what the user wants and how does it work in the context of our mission, which is to make the world's most knowledge-centric company, ultimate knowledge app. And once we strategized it well, we would just focus on execution. We wouldn't get distracted. And once it's shipped and it's in a good enough state, we would finish the project and move on to the next thing. And then it becomes like a repeatable workflow. It's also the culture you want to set. Like you tell people, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Why can't you do it today? Just ask that question. Don't tell them to do, no, you do it today. Because just ask, can we do it today? And if they have a solid explanation for why it cannot be done today, then fair. But maybe they didn't even consider, they thought, okay, they could do it tomorrow. So not in a way where it comes across as toxic, but more like trying to push them towards urgency. Hey, look, we are a startup. We need to execute. Like if we don't, all our potential just decays. If you have a rolling ball and you do nothing, it'll automatically stop. But if you have a rolling ball and you keep kicking it, it'll go even faster. There's still things to the core essence. Something is complex because there's a lot of information. So then force your brain to say, okay, there's a lot, but what is the one most important thing? What is the second most important thing? Usually that's not more than two. Let's say there's like one thing that has two choices and there are like three things that are 8 choices now. Your brain is not able to process 8 choices at once. It usually has 3 or 4 at best. So your job is actually to figure out what is that 2 choices. In fact, there is like advice from Reid Hoffman that says in life, whenever you're going to make decisions, people usually do pros and cons, where they write down the pros, they write down the cons, and then see which has more, and they pick that option. But that's like the wrong way of doing things, because that way you're weighing everything equally important. But things are not equally important usually. Some things are way more important than others. So you gotta be able to take something and pick the most important thing out of it and focus on that. Usually it works. Reformulate the problem better. And so the complex problem becomes much simpler, and then iterate. Look, I'm not saying I'm really good at this today. I can still improve, and so can everybody. So believe in the improvement process. Don't believe in like being perfect. And we all learn, we all make mistakes, and it's fine. So I've given this advice in other interviews. I'm going to continue to say this. Not just for consistency, I really believe in it. When you starting a company, do what you really love, because the world is not something that's static. It changes dynamically really fast. I would say what you love doesn't usually change. So start with that. The mission is not about making money. That said, the mission requires money. And therefore, we will make money in order to like serve the mission. The metric should never be like, oh, by X year or X month, I'm going to increase the valuation by alpha times X. It should be really focused on, okay, I should make the product better. I should have more users. I should have a higher quality product, more accuracy. A lot of people, when they wake up, they feel like going back to bed. They feel like I want to sleep 1 or 2 more hours more and nothing's really going to change. For me, it's the opposite. I'm like waking up sooner than I wanted to, sleeping later than I wanted to. When the day ends, I always feel like there's more stuff I could have done. So that's actually a privilege. I also feel stressed, but the opposite wouldn't make me feel any fulfillment, honestly. So it's very fulfilling. It's definitely a privilege, and I want to keep going this way.